If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. This is an important episode. I want to show you about trauma-based mind control because I want to make people more aware of it, especially people who are new to waking up. I used to have a lot of videos on it. Those videos magically disappeared off YouTube. But I was watching a Netflix show, which I've covered before, Black Mirror. Now, this is an older episode. It's not a brand new episode. But it was called Bandersnatch. And in it, they actually show you the techniques used in trauma-based mind control. Now, these are the techniques that a lot of parents use on their own children who, the parents are members of covens, members of the occult. They put their children through this. Other children, obviously, have been put through this before, not by their parents. This is a lot of the accusations from, the McMartin preschool and other places where kids were talking about rituals that were occurring and things that were being done to them. These are all methods of trauma-based mind control. I want to show you this scene now and just take a look at some of this stuff because these are all perfect examples of what really does happen. They blindfold the child. They use colors like the red light in the red room. They put stuff in the food, whether it's LSD or some type of drug. You've noticed with the rabbit, that they pull the rabbit away, steal the rabbit, steal something he loves like a toy. These are all methods that are used. So take a look at these clips from Bandersnatch. There's more truth in these shows than you could possibly imagine, even though it looks like something that you would probably never see.
You can find Rabbit later.
Now, a lot of victims of satanic ritual abuse come out and they discuss these things. They discuss what they've gone through. A lot of them don't even remember because what happens with the trauma is it causes them to shut down parts of their brain. It causes them to have alters and split personalities, which only these handlers can activate or know how to activate. There are a lot of people who, when they've gotten older, something has triggered them to remember all these suppressed memories. It's really as tragic as it gets to imagine a child going through this stuff. A lot of the techniques they use are food deprivation, lack of sleep, sensory overload, shaming, humiliation, belittlement. They use trickery and illusion like you saw in that scene, physical, emotional, verbal, sexual, and spiritual abuse. A lot of the times they'll, tell these children that God hates them and that, they're going to go to, God doesn't like that. They invert everything and they flip it, right? That God's really the villain. Obviously, you saw some of the color used, right? A lot of flashing lights and things like that are used. Electroshock therapy, whips, shackles, chains, cages, guns. They threaten them with all sorts of things. They make them partake and watch, the animal sacrifices and things like that. Sounds, smells, spiritual effects. They make them watch films. I've spoken to survivors of this before who have flat out talked about how they would make these kids watch films of cartoon characters doing these acts to each other, sexual acts. And that's how they would provoke them to do these despicable things to the adults. I mean, it's stuff that make you throw up. It's the stuff that drives me crazy. people go, boy, looking into this stuff, it could really wear you out. Well, that's the stuff that'll wear you out and put you, into anxiety and panic attacks when you think about the stuff that all of these children go through. Now, one of the things I've discussed about the satanic, organizations, Satanic Temple and stuff, one of their main objectives is to go, any of these events that occur where people come forward and claim they're victims of satanic ritual abuse, they go there, they mock them, because they don't want to know that these techniques exist, these techniques of control over people, right? These government tests that they've done, the stuff that the CIA's done, MK Ultra, you name it. Even though there's documentation of this out there, and what do you think? All these people were just making these stories up for attention because it's something they'd be proud of? I mean, this is trauma that these people were put through. These children are put through. Some of the survivors can actually switch altars, just via facial expression. They could, some of their altars have different sounding voices, different accents. It's really, really. I know that the common human brain can't comprehend this because the average person can't comprehend a human being doing this to a child, and that's really why one of the hardest things to wake people up to, because they say what kind of despicable person would do that. But like I've said before, if people out there knew what was done to children, and a mass awakening did happen, not only would people wake up and find God, but people they wouldn't stand for it. They wouldn't sit back and go, oh, let it happen, because nobody with a soul wants to see anything like this done to a child. Nobody with a soul can sit back and say, oh, well, so-and-so's doing this to a child, but I don't care, because they do care. They will care. People will rise. This is the thing that they don't want you to know about. See, they don't care with the other stuff, right? With the signs and symbols and Freemasonry. They mock it, right? You hear them on TV all the time talking about the Illuminati, like making a joke of it, whether it's Doritos or Jimmy Kimmel or Pizza Hut in these commercials. But this stuff, this is too severe for them to ever express. And that's why they created the Satanic Panic, right? That's why they had to come out and say, oh, this stuff, people who think this stuff is real. Oh, they're just these crazy, kooky Christians who don't get out of their house much, right? Oh, they say the rock music's of the devil. Right? Oh, these Christians, they want to take everything fun away, right? Because all these people have been indoctrinated with these things that they think, oh, this is fun, this is great. Ozzy Osbourne and Led Zeppelin and Aleister Crowley on the Beatles album cover. Yay, Beatles, right? But this stuff really does go on. And these are the people who need all of our help, or these victims of satanic ritual abuse. Some churches act out and do help. A lot of people don't think it's real. They think that these people are making up sensational stories because it never airs on the national news. You won't hear this stuff anymore. They'll just go, oh, yeah, one of those people, huh? They're making it up. Yeah, they're just suddenly like in McMartin, all these 4-year-olds just woke up with this story. There was no telephone, text messaging. They just all woke up and had these similar stories that involve animal sacrifice because their imagination could come up with that. I mean, give me a break. Absolutely unbelievable. And this show, Black Mirror, probably more than any show that I've seen in quite some time. I know people, the X-Files would reveal a lot of stuff and show some stuff, especially the newer ones. But this show, Black Mirror, reveals a lot of what the future plans are, especially with the social credit score, social media score, right? And the stuff that we see going on with that. We see a lot of them. They show a lot of the MK Ultra stuff. They obviously here showing the trauma base. There's a lot of predictive programming in it, a lot. There are some shows that do, constantly do show you. I mean, American Horror Stories constantly showing you, the witches and the rituals and, using the blood to anti-age, all this stuff that you see slipped into the mainstream. They show you it. So there's more truth in these shows and in the movies than there are on the news. And I know that's a common phrase now, but it's the truth. It's the absolute truth. So I'm not telling anyone to go check it out. I showed you the clips that are important. And I think in the episode, it's a really weird episode. You like role play in the episode, like one of those books where you could choose what chapters you want to go in. Like it asks you on the screen what to do. And I was just really creeped out because they were like, oh, should you kill your father at the end? And I was like, no. And then you lose, you have to go back because you have to make the kid kill the father. It's just really sick. And it's not a surprise, of course, that they would put that in there. But I think that the kid or whatever, it ends up being just, something in his illusion, their dream that he was a victim of the trauma base. It's all there for people to see, and these types of techniques that they use on kids, this is how they make them get them to do the things and the acts that they want, and get them to stay quiet, right? And get them to switch into these altars and things like that. They suppress these memories. They're really scary. It truly is. We read some of the books on this stuff, the psychology behind all of these CIA operations. It's frightening. It's frightening to think that a human being would do this to another. But this is what our government's done to us, continues to do. This is what these sick Satanists do. And the sick Satanists, they are your government. They are the heads of all these corporations. They are the ones running this matrix. It's unfortunate that people refuse to see it, but it's the truth. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.